Hi. Oh, I'll tell you, a lot of activity wherever I live. Doesn't matter where I live, there's always a lot of activity. But I get it, because it'll either be a yay or a nay. Do the video or don't do the video. Thanks for joining me. This is The Vibe, and I'm digging. And this particular episode, I'm going to call, or name, I should say, let's talk about death. And death is one of those subjects that a great deal, at least 50% of the world, considers it a taboo per se. You often find people saying, okay, it's ill will to talk about the dead, or don't jinx yourself if you talk about the death, and so on and so forth. So, and I've come across, because I've put this particular video off. I put it off, and I must have made it at least 16 times. But each and every time that I did make it, for whatever reason, I just didn't like it. Whether I was too excited or not excited enough, or I was talking too quickly or not talking quickly enough. And I had to deal with a lot of that the past couple of years. So much so that I am human. I also have a heart, and it breaks. But the one thing that I can say, I probably would have been right over the deep edge if, in fact, I didn't know what I do know and experience what I have experienced thus far. So like I said, I kept putting it off and thinking, okay, maybe it's just not the right timing. And okay, should I? Now, within the last 48 hours, I came across a couple of comments. And these comments were mothers, two in particular, that really pulled at my heartstrings. Because, praise God, it's not anything I want to experience. Ever. At all. And it's come so close that I've had two children cross over, die, and come back for them to share with me their experience and everything that they had seen. And what it did for me, it gave me kudos. I was happy with myself for I began to talk to them about this very subject when they were young. I talked to them about the chip, about the beast, about, so I'm talking 30 some odd years ago. And for them to have, and oddly enough, it didn't dawn on me until right now making this video. It was when both children at the age of 14 experienced this. Of course, different circumstances, different conditions, different places, different kids and people. But ultimately, as I said in a video just before this one, all roads lead to Rome. All of them. So I thought, my heart just went out to these people, and went out to these two particular mothers that really, I really felt their pain. Actually, I shouldn't say two. There is at least a half a dozen that I have come across, and I pray I pray and send peace and love and goodwill in their direction. And it doesn't matter if they do or don't know who it is or what it is. What matters is that I do pray, I do ask for healing. And I'm fortunate enough, because of the gifts that I was born with. Like I've mentioned in other videos, I have one foot in heaven, literally, and the other foot here on earth. It was difficult growing up until I got an understanding and a handle on it. And this happened around 12, 13 years old. And at that time, I remembered being lifted in spirit as young as 2 years old. Now, death, first of all, I'm going to flat out begin with sharing with you. Death, the way that we know it and understand it, has been abolished. Has been abolished. Now, there are two deaths, but I'm going to talk about the first death. And you might believe in the resurrection or not. You might believe in the Christ, the Anointed One, or not. But his sacrifice, because it was his choice, abolished death the way that we know it. So what does that mean in layman terms? It means that when we cross over, we don't die, because death, the first death, has been abolished. So this means that when we die, it is only our physical body that disintegrates and passes away. But we, who we are, because we are a soul, and our soul has spirit and intelligence, we live. So when we cross over, we are made aware of all our experiences, welcomed or not, sought after or not. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because we store a memory of our experiences. And, with the amount of memory that we do have, we can call on a place or a time, and us, as souls, as beings, snap of a finger, we're there. Just like my dad said, I said, what's the best thing you like being on the other side? He said, all I have to do is think it. Actually, he said, I can fly. I don't need a 747. All I have to do is think it, and I'm there. And I thought, how wonderful, wonderful that really is. I mean, everything has a purpose, has a life, believe it or not. Everything. Even colors are alive. Truly. And we'll go a little further pertaining to colors and how they are alive. So first things first, when anybody crosses over, the first 3 days, they're still earthbound. Very much so. Now, it often happens because the person that did pass over to the other side of the veil, it takes them a little bit of time to adjust, to feel sure-footed, because it's 50-50. Some will feel shock, hurt, disbelief, wonderment, and, quickly realize that if they hadn't taught themselves or allowed themselves to be taught about love and death and how creation was made perfect. There is, how one spirit called it, and I thought, how brilliant, how wonderful that she had called it that. And that is Earth Base. She called it Earth Base, which is very true. And in that Earth Base, this is where we can pick up a lot of activity. And if need be, extend a part of ourselves to the place, and through our will, let whoever we choose to visit be known that you are there. And sometimes it's also out of need that you are there, and they reach out to you. I had a friend who became a success overnight, and she was really, really beautiful, and she was beautiful inside and out. And she was the Playmate of the Year in 1980. I was very, very, very disturbed by the fact that she had died, and a horrible death at the hands of her estranged husband, because she could not believe truly who this monster was. She wanted to go over there to wrap things up. The person that she was with had begged her and just flat out didn't trust him. He could see the signs, and she was very soft-hearted. And she wanted for him to be able to move forward comfortably, and for both of them to come to an agreement that they both tried their best. But despite their best, her heart and her feelings in her heart for somebody else grew because of the dysfunction. Now, at the Earth Base, there are people, souls, that don't understand exactly what they're doing there. Because when you do cross over, initially, like I said, there's earthbound. And then all of a suddenly, it's dark. Everything is dark. I mean, we're talking pitch black dark. And that spooks the individual if in fact they've got no knowledge of it or they're not prepared. It spooks them because they hadn't extended themselves or had the desire while they were on earth to learn these things. God is still political to this very day, and it blows my mind, really. Blows my mind. And why it blows my mind, the same as ETs. People have a really hard time getting their head around that. But I think to myself, Christ in one of his parables confirmed it by flat out saying, hey, look, there are many mansions in my Father's house. There are many doors. And if it's not just you, if it's not just humanity, then who else has mansions in his home? So we've got one huge home with multiple different existences, but each and every existence, like I said, all roads lead to Rome, meaning our souls and how we evolved, and did we evolve, and at which home do we reside in when we do pass over. For an instance, I'm a human being. I pass over, and all of a sudden I decide I'm going to go to a house or a planet or an existence where there are little blue people. Well, as in life, I would only be able to be there for a short period, a visit. Why? Because our vibrations are entirely different. Whether we're empathetic or not, they are different. People vibrate not only in different stages, but as far as existence goes, we each have a particular vibration. Human beings have one, people through stargates have one, and I do call them, I call ETs people because they are people. But that's a different story altogether. But I will say, the knowledge of death in itself, they're all aware of. They have the same knowledge, which in turn they will teach their youngins, their children. And you know how it goes. They will go ahead and they will teach others, they will teach family members, they will teach their children about death and the process, because it has been abolished. Flat out. Just like when in the days of old, before the Anointed One, when people died, they went rather than going to what people call heaven, they were locked away in what people call hell. Now, upon the resurrection, the first thing he did, 3 days, is go downward, take that tunnel downward, and opened up the gates of hell. So the people that were worthy were able to lift and go home to where their soul vibrated, reasoned with, because they had a completely different vibration to where they were, where they had gone upon passing away from this earth, and they didn't belong there. And so there was a lot of suffering because they did not know that there would have been such an option. And that's another couple of videos. But I did want to bring this particular bit of knowledge up. And why I brought it up is because our loved ones, via our guidance, our nurturing, our love, our strength, have the ability that when we step into that doorway, it's like a hall, a dark hallway, and then there's a door, and the door is illuminated, and we cross through that threshold, we are in complete darkness. Now you can hear jammering and babbling and people calling and I mean, we could even hear some souls crying because they lack this knowledge and understanding as to what's what. Now, if that soul is there for a long period of time and for whatever reason hasn't taken the other steps forward, and this is where a lot of people are under the understanding via others that when you die you ultimately see a light, and upon seeing that light, follow the light, or that you are lifted into God's reign. Again, due to a lack of knowledge, is where there is this giant hiccup. I'll call it that, hiccup. What people don't know is that just like hell, archangels will come down and we'll ask the individual if they are ready to expand, if they're ready to accept, if they're ready to be healed, because they are there to pick them up. They can hitch a ride, and they will be taken to that place upon their will. If this is what they will, it will happen. And where are they taken? They're taken to this light. I call them guides. We call them angels. I call them angels. Now, people are really unaware of this. The other, when somebody's life has been robbed from them, taken from them, via an accident, via murder, let's call it the way that it is, violent deaths in any way, shape, or form. Like, first of all, children automatically, bang, they're there, they're in heaven. You know, the moment they step over, like through that doorway, there's that light, they're lifted. Now, some children will stick around because there's a loved one or loved ones there with them, and they don't want to go without. They don't want to leave anybody behind. And whoever is with them would need to encourage them, because it's very automatic. Their souls are pure. Their life pure at such a young age. Adults, automatically, there is trauma. Automatically, there is sorrow because of the people they left behind, the people they can see grieving. They try to reach out to say, hey, look it, I don't know exactly where I'm at, but I know I can hear myself think. I know I can hear other people. Can't see them, and I see you crying and grieving, and you want to somehow make the point that they are not dead. This isn't, okay, you pass away, there's nothing after that. That's it. You're gone. You're history. Maybe a memory in a book, a letter, a postcard. Other than that, they're gone. Well, that's not exactly it. They're very much alive. They've only stepped through the doorway, past what I call the doorway. It's called a veil. And at that point, and some people are fearful. You can see them leaning up, even though it's dark. I know that there's a wall there. And they contemplate what just happened, because they ultimately think, hey, look it, I don't want to be forgotten. I don't want to lose the love that I do have on earth. It was robbed from me. And it's really unfair. And Earth base is extremely close to existence. So is it like this on every other planet? Yes. Every other galaxy? Yes. It doesn't change. The experiences change. The shape of the being changes. And it's important for us not to be racial or prejudiced, because people aren't realizing that when it does come to what we call ETs, based out of fear, there is a prejudice. They're like, no. And rumor has it. So automatically, there's this feeling of hate, disgust, a very erratical thought process, a flat out prejudice. They've got no reason to be prejudiced. It's living, it's breathing. You cut it, it hurts. It secretes ourselves life. So they do have a life form. I've just never cut an ET, nor do I care to. And they too grieve when they lose a loved one, being a parent, a wife, a husband, children, a dear friend. They feel very much like we do. Now, some are so advanced that you almost think they're docile, but they do feel. They do. Okay, and every once in a while, and I'm going to probably beep this in because of the fact that they are beings and they're alive. And like I said, it doesn't matter what planet you're on, the experiences are all the same. Which brings me back to Rome. It does not matter what road you're on. It all leads to Rome. And Rome, in this case, is heaven. Flat out. Heaven. So when people's life are disrupted and uprooted via another one's hands, they kill a human being. That particular human being that crosses over, they do deal with the shock. They're still trying to figure out a disorientation of sorts, trying to figure out what happened, and then trying to figure out, now what do I do? Holy crap, I never thought of learning anything. I have no idea. All I know is I thought when I died, that was it. My consciousness would be gone, my thoughts would be gone, my desires would be gone, my very existence would be gone. And that is further from the truth. Further. If that soul is so disrupted and hurt, they're not able to move forward because of somebody else's sin, because of somebody else's hatred upon them, because of somebody else's will to destroy them and remove them. It does take a little while, but like I said, 4 corners, 4 angels, they present themselves. And sphere 2, I call it dimension 2, I call it the hospital zone. And the reason is, or children being killed on a school bus, freak accidents. If the soul is that distraught or traumatized, they will be assisted and they will be brought to the hospital area. Now, while you're there initially, you do get to see what is happening, and you via other souls, and you do get to make up your own mind as to whether you're ready to be healed. Do you want to be healed? There sometimes is a confusion that if they choose they want to be healed, they are shutting the door of the past, where they feel they're going to lose or leave somebody that really loves them, and they get this feeling of selfishness. Well, it's not that way. It's not. The hospital area, what it does, it heals your spirit. It heals your thoughts. It heals your soul. It brings you back to a time frame where you remember you made the decision to incarnate for whatever reason, whatever experience you wanted to experience, to make you whole. Even if it is that you just want to experience Playland, an amusement park. That is very well. Upon your turn and agreements, you will incarnate, because each and every experience enhances a soul, be it understanding, be it the ability to love, be it the ability to learn, also learning a lot about yourself, opening up different areas of yourself where you can heal others by thought and by deed. The unfortunate thing is that when we do incarnate, because of the way that the world is built, because of the system thus far, we forget. We forget. We are bombarded with this world's opinionated and preconceived notions as to what forever is, and is there a forever, making it very easy to manipulate one's mind and memory and reprogram these two things that bring about a different desire. But midway, it's the exact same for everybody. It doesn't matter their shape, it doesn't matter their circumstances, it doesn't matter where they're at. Now, when I say it doesn't matter their circumstances, I want to stick for a moment concerning and regarding sudden death, a traumatized death. And here is where I worry about souls. Like my girlfriend that did pass over, I was in shock when I heard it. We all grew up together. A herd of us all grew up together. And it was a real shock. It was just, you don't expect it. You don't see it coming. And we were all young. I had somebody come to me in a dream, and they said to me, hey, look, her name was Dorothy. Dorothy's very angry, and she doesn't want to move from this level to another level. And she's starting to bother people on this earth here. And I said, why? Because she wanted her body back. And because of how she died, which was absolutely grotesque, it was via a sawed-off shotgun. He shot her in the face. Very grotesque. She could not go back into that body. It had been destroyed. So she was becoming an angry soul, meaning her spirit was angry, and not thinking of other people and the fact that this is their time, their choices of existence. She just knew that hers were robbed. It was robbed. I was told she was going to come to me, and in fact she did. And I had said to her, hey, look, this is wrong, and talk to me. And she vented, and I did what any God-fearing, loving friend would do, and that would be to support her, to love her. I helped her, almost like grabbing her hand and saying, hey, look, come take a look at this. Hey, look, come and take a look at that. The good thing at that point, when all was well and done, she did go home. And even when she was at home, she did give me a thank you. Now, people around me, of course, were very freaked right out. Like, oh my goodness. That kind of freaking out. But I explained to them, hey, look, this was a part of her journey home. She needed to find home. She needed to find home because she needed to heal. Now, these particular men and women that take it upon themselves to murder, to kill, well, I'll tell you, hell is a very, 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 very ugly place. Very. I had been such a curious individual all of my life that when I asked, I mean, first of all, I was brought there, I got to see via guides, via angels. And, I stayed really close to the angel. And as usual, a gazillion, literally a gazillion questions I had. And I felt nothing but compassion after the fact. And I'll make a video about that. It'll be a short video, but I'll make a video about that all the same. Then, I was in a vehicle, a passenger, and we were driving along a lake called Kalmalka Lake, and this is in the Okanagan, British Columbia. And as I looked to my left, that's where the lake was, and we were heading to a city called Kelowna. All of a sudden, I heard screaming, and I asked the driver, "Did you hear that?" They said no. I said, "Are you sure you didn't hear that?" "I heard that." "What'd you hear?" "I heard screaming." I did not know what it was about. I didn't. And I thought, okay, it's just a little too weird. Then I heard it again. But this time, when I heard this, I saw all these people in flames, screaming and yelling. And I thought, oh wow, what the hell is this? Where am I and what am I looking at? Now I recognize the people that were in these fires. Very, very, very unfortunate. And they were there because of roads they were let down throughout. So the choices and the different roads that they were let down, they followed. There was sin after sin after sin after sin. Sin meaning mistake after mistake after mistake after mistake, and missed the whole point of life. These people that kill, that murder, out of malice, out of black hearts, out of confusion. Now, if the person is completely outside of themselves, 9 out of 10 it's possession of a sort. Period. People with schizophrenia, I see them as being, has gifts as clairvoyant, clairaudio, clairsentient. And this is why they seem to be talking to more than one individual that you cannot see. They could see through the veil. And truth bombs are flying in their direction, on and on and on and on and on. So they can automatically see a reaction from an action that is either happening at that moment, or they foresee that this is the action that is going to happen at that moment. And if this was taken seriously, and it has been introduced, it will help with the understanding that their experiences are very real. And what they need is a grounding. And via that grounding, just remember, God gave us absolutely everything that we need to be able to be balanced, healthy, and our experience enriching. So, in other words, nobody is born a sacrificial lamb. Murder comes from somebody else. Those particular souls, unless they repent, we're talking 360 a dozen times over. Repent is changing your mind, changing the understanding that you have in your mind, willing to open your mind and learn what acceptance is. That is far few and in between. Because if in fact, there wasn't any type of remorse or desire to get it right, if they accidentally killed somebody, it is entirely different. I am talking about murderers, people with black hearts, crimes they commit. They automatically go to hell. They go to hell. And what they've done to somebody else, they experience magnified experience. Exactly what they did to that other human being, it will be done to them. Literally. Now, you've got to be a really effed up, messed up, confused soul. You know? Now, some people end up in prison because of this. And eventually, they'll flat out say, hey, look, I found God. God is no idiot. God knows our thoughts, our hearts, long before we figure it out. And that's a fact. That is a fact. How do I know? Like I said, I have full memory. I've got one foot there and one foot here. And I'm so grateful for it. Because as a human being, it helped me. It helped me grow. And I have that understanding of mourning, grief, losing somebody. But when it got down to brass taxes, I asked myself, who am I crying for? Them or myself? It was for myself. I was crying for myself. Because I knew when they passed over, I would never be able to hug them physically once again. But if we trust and we allow our minds the real understanding of the process of death, you have that relationship. Communication, it's like being on a cell phone. It's like picking up a phone long distance. You know, I can call Italy and I can talk to family members and I get off the phone feeling really happy, or the laptop, really happy, elated, satisfied, loved even. But they're not physically in my presence. It's exactly like that. And believe it or not, can you physically feel them? Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And because of where they are at, they have God consciousness. Meaning, if they know that you need a hug, if they know it does feel like life or death for the person that loves them, they will understand energy, and they can go ahead and console that person by rubbing their back, by hugging them, by caressing their hair, by kissing their cheek, on and on, because there is no death. It's a matter of honing in on energy, your energy, and your empathy for that person. And for that reason, we are capable of doing such things. But if there is denial, that you a denial pretending that you're there, and that you could be happy there, and that you're moving above and ahead, and you're not leaving somebody behind. It is freedom for both the person that passed over and the person that is left behind. That really helped me. That understanding. Hey, look, I'm crying for myself. I'm not crying for my mom, let's just say that, because my mom passed over. And if it had not been for my gifts, my ability, I think I would have just lost it. Right over the edge. But I have and had this understanding, making it available for my mother if in fact she wanted to slow down and comfort me. And I'm talking about slowing down, I'm talking about dimensions, because she wasn't in human form. She would have to bring herself to a time and place where she was in human form and project that action. And that was rubbing my back, coming to me in a dream. Another time I was in a drugstore. We have a drugstore up here called Shoppers. I knew I was having heart issues, and I had been hit by a car, and despite what I had said again and again and again, doctors didn't want to listen. They did not want to listen. In fact, I was thrown under a bus by multiple different doctors. I went to the section in the drugstore that I was looking for supplements and what would help me. As I walked around this particular wall, and it had like it had a little bit of an extension, we'll say, and it was all supplements. When I walked by I was looking for these particular supplements, behind me, but to my right side, all of a suddenly I heard smash. I thought, what the? I turned around and a bottle flew and hit the ground. And I thought, geez, that was odd. There was nobody there around me. There was nobody there beside me. I know nobody walked by me, and yet it flew out. And when I looked, I thought, well, let's go take a seat. Let's put it back, for somebody else. If an elder comes along, and that would just be really bad. I picked up the supplement, and lo and behold, if it wasn't a supplement for the heart. And at that point, I knew. I said, thanks, Dad. Thanks, Papa, is what I said. I knew at that point. I didn't until I picked it up. And when I saw what it read, he had heart issues. He had heart problems. And 10 years later, maybe even a little longer, my mother ended up having heart issues. And it took her life. But still, realizing that you are crying for yourself, it really makes a huge difference in your emotions, your thoughts, and your composure. Because you realize that if there is a detachment of any sort, that detachment would be what you're feeling and not exactly reality. You had the understanding that love doesn't die. There is no death the way that we know it to be on earth. There is no death. A child, a parent, a loved one, a husband, family member, friend. a friend's child. It is very easy for you to continue living your life and them being part of it. So much so that humor comes into play because you are given signs. You're protected, something will happen, you're about to cross the street, and you were distracted or you felt a pulling. Well, I'll give you another example. I was driving from the province of Alberta to the province of British Columbia, and it was quite a few miles. I mean, we're talking hours upon hours upon hours. And I had my children in the vehicle, and a young lady that was from British Columbia or was heading out to British Columbia asked me if she can catch a ride with me, and I said absolutely. So my 3 children were in the car and her, and I dozed off behind the wheel. No idea I dozed off behind the wheel. In my sleep, I was certain I kept hearing my name, but I wasn't deciphering that I was sleeping. I was in that middle, and hearing my name. When all of a sudden, I woke up because of a super poke right in through here. It was my father, and he called my name and sounded exactly like he sounded when he was really mad at either myself or my sisters. And that's what woke me up, was his angry tone. And as I was waking up, I saw everything blue, and the next thing I saw was an 18-wheeler coming right for us. And I thought, I fell asleep. And I burst into tears, and I said, I really need a rest area. I really need a rest area. And there was a bend. It was driving through the Rocky Mountains. There was a bend, and right around that bend, lo and behold, was that 18-wheeler, was that semi. Well, I couldn't believe it. I mean, I could believe it. I just broke into, still tears, broke into thank you, Papa, thank you, Papa. Going, wow, there's got to be a lot of energy that you put into that, because I really felt you poking me and screaming, Pina, wake up. I thought, okay, little nut, you better get it together. And sure enough, when I had said this, there was a rest area. I almost drove past it. I looked ahead, there was no traffic coming. I looked behind, there was no traffic coming. And so I backed up on that highway, on that freeway, and to the left of me was a rest area. And I thanked God, and I again thanked my father, and I fell asleep. The kids were sleeping while all this happened. So was the young lady. But she was aware of she knew that while she slept, there was a brush, and brushing by a very bad activity. Because when we all woke up, she said, "Are you okay?" The last I remember was you crying and asking God for a rest area. I looked at her and could you hear me? She said, in my sleep. And I thought, wow. Now, if in fact I was not open, I did not have that understanding that people I love are still alive when they pass over, I believe I would have made it more difficult for myself and for my father, despite his best effort to wake me, that Sunny was right there. Like, we're not talking minutes away. We're talking 2 minutes, 3 minutes away. Not 5, 10 minutes. It was right there. Right there. Where I turned that bend, and woe and behold. I will never forget that. That was a time frame where I was so grateful for each and every gift that I was given from God. Because when I was younger, it really felt like a curse. Until, bless my mom, she had said to me, "Dear child, you've experienced so much more than any one adult would experience in a lifetime. I don't understand why, but I do know that via all your tears, you'll be able to help people, genuinely help people. It's the only thing that makes sense." And she was right. Always. It's like there's a pulling in my soul. And why? Is because I want everybody not to suffer. I want everybody to have a faith. I want everybody to have a knowledge and understanding. We can make that difference. When somebody passes away, remember, for 3 days they stick around. So talk to them. Talk to them. Sometimes you might have to talk them down a wall. There's this one beautiful woman and children. I only met her in spirit after she passed. And I did not know her in person, but our souls connected. And I thought to myself, I'm old enough to be your mother. And I thought, is it because we're both Capricorns? I thought could be. Really upset. So upset that she made the decision to hunt the SOB. Hunt him down and haunt him. Haunt him to the point of cracking. This person is searching his soul, because he's saying, hey, look, I know that God forgave me. I know that the Lord forgave me. Now I have to forgive myself. I too will go to heaven. Well, I'm sorry, but what is going to happen if you do not truly have in your heart the desire to repent? You don't have remorse, and it's all about you. I'm telling you right now, you're not going to snow God. You're going there. You are going there. And be ready, because you are going to experience the same violation that you put upon another being, another body, another identity that lived and would breathe, a heart that pumped, a consciousness. You know, it's like a thief. You hear something, you go into the other room or downstairs and you turn on the light. Does that mean because you see that thief, well, it's okay now? Want to sit down, coffee, tea? Can I help you with anything? Are you here for something in particular? Can I offer it to you? That doesn't happen. That thief is going to run, because if you get a hold of that thief is going to be handcuffed, thrown into prison, and he is going to have to pay his dues. I don't care who you are. The only time that you are spared that experience is if it was all an accident. If it was all an accident, that you did not dare hurt any soul of any kind. Now, if you were reckless, like drinking and driving, Well, you know what? What's the difference of that? What's the difference between that or having a loaded gun in your hand? There is no difference. The thought is still the same. So, the best point of action is applying the first rule. The first rule. And that is death, the way we know it, was abolished. It's not even, and yes, the Bible says that the dead sleep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to say but, because I'm not God. This is something I'm actually going to pray about and ask about. Because there are times where I am thinking, if the dead sleep and they know nothing about the living, then how come it is that I'm not the only soul that sees a loved one, interacts with a loved one, and you know that they are your loved one. You can see them, you can feel them, you can interact with them, you can play games with them, hide and seek. Well, that's a real good one. Good luck to you. You know, it is not the empty darkness that we fear. So please, please, remember this video. They are alive. They are still alive. Can they come to you? Yeah, 9 out of 10 times. It's they're comforting you. Instead of you comforting them, going, how are you? Are you okay? You know, glad you're here. I'm having a really hard time. You know, can you, can I have some sugar? Can I have some affection? You know, and where are you at? What dimension are you at? Because remember, you wouldn't, put a teenager in the same class as a toddler. I can't see them hanging out. It doesn't jive. So you will always be placed, you will always go where you fit in. Where you fit in. So, you pass away, does that mean you're going to, be hanging out with somebody that dealt with diseases, such as alcoholism, addictions of all sorts? Well, no. Is a musician going to be hanging out with a politician, per se? Lame. These are lame examples. No. They are going to be at a level, at a dimension where the vibration all around him is going to be composers, writers, singers, poets, playing instruments. Because they're in their element. And being in their element, they can give and do their very best. Not only for loved ones, but it's not uncommon for them to pray for this earth and pray for the people on this earth. Because when you pass away, it's a reality. It's kind of looking through which I made a video about this actually, the looking glass. Looking through the looking glass. They can see everything. We're talking everything. Everything. They even cheer. Yes, 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 go for it, go for it, go for it. You can do it, you can do it, you can do it. Or they're trying to forewarn you. Like my dad did. Yeah. So if you lose a loved one, it's human to grieve. It's human to cry. Because you feel the loss. But the loss is not of that person. The loss is at the person that is alive, their ability to hug them and feel them hugging you. Yes. Can you ask, hey, look I'm really having a hard time. Can you maybe, either while you're awake or sleeping, can you come by and give me comforting words so I know that you're okay? Because I feel like I'm a mess. Are you able to move forward? Ask, talk. Comfort them. I hope you're not feeling shock. I hope that you know, and guide them, direct them. Look, where you're at, it's really dark. It's a hallway. Everybody goes through there. You know, hang a right, keep going straight, keep walking. You will see the light. Look up and allow yourself to float. Period. Now, when you get to that point, the light, there are guides there. And in the process, you'll see your friends, you'll see family members, so on and so forth. The experience is more a aha, I'm not dead moment. I'm not dead. Okay, now what? I'm not dead. The first thing you want to do is make contact with your loved ones. Let them understand you're still alive. But we are so distraught and grieving that sometimes we cut off our nose to spite our face. Sometimes we just can't get past that pain where we allow ourselves to feel and to hear them. But if we silence our soul and focus solemnly on our love for each other, not only do you get to feel the influence, the kisses, the hugs, the direction, you'll get to hear them. You'll get to hear them whisper, I love you. Or getting shit like I did for falling asleep behind the wheel. So, let's wrap this up. I hope this helps. I hope it helps. Instantly, their pain is gone. Physically, the physical pain. The psychological pain really depends on the knowledge they had before they crossed over, and after they crossed over, how their loved ones, the interaction that they have with the person they feel they've lost, which they haven't, will make all the difference in the world. Because they need you at that moment as much as you need them. I don't know how many people that have crossed over that said, am I dreaming? Is this a dream? Wait a second. I can hear myself. They look down. They could see their bodies. They're like, what? What? Absolutely. And when they travel, they're beautiful beams of light. Beautiful. Beautiful. It's not the way that we have been taught. No. Death doesn't exist. It's been abolished. The second death does exist. There's no abolishing that. There's nothing that God can do. He grieves when a spirit decides, yeah, no, I don't even want to exist. There is that hand. Hey, look, you can heal. Hey, look, there is, no sin that cannot be redeemed. I've seen a soul which was and is responsible for putting well over thousands of guns in children's hands. When he had passed away and he was looking at the panoramic view of his life and all that he did and all that he was responsible for, he just said to God flat out, I choose not to exist. Despite God pleading, I choose not to exist. And upon that choice, that spirit, that soul, burst into thousands of little lights. Just psh! I was in awe. Like, what just happened? And then there was no more. He no longer existed. That's where and when the loss kicks in. Not the initial death, because it was abolished. That's why in Scripture it says, don't fear death, fear the second death. Because then you're hooped. Then you're hooped. You best be ready to go back, and your head a little jingle, 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 because the very same sickness, if you push everything away, you will have that sickness, that disease embedded into your thought process. So therefore, you will still have the same problems you did before you died, before the electric chair, before, the needle of death. Yes. So allow yourself to celebrate their life with them and to confirm to them you had not gone away. You can never get so far that I cannot hold you, smell you, talk to you, hear you laugh, hear your voice, see you, because we can do all of the above. The sad thing, some parts of the world, they're like, yeah, this is the devil's work. You don't need to conjure anybody. You don't need to call the dead. You don't. But if they happen to come to you, don't slam the door in their face. Do not be frightened. And especially loved ones. Nobody intellectually decides that they're going to slam the door on somebody that they love, that they lost. No. Let them know you know they're alive and you're still with them. 1,000%. They cannot shock you, uproot you. Nobody can. Your love for them is unconditional. Infinity. Forever. So in death, ask yourself, who do you cry for? Let them in. Let them in. Ask them, do you need my help? You want me to read poems? Your song? Put on their favorite song. So many things that we can do. And in turn, they do it too. And what happens? They are capable of having 1 foot there and 1 foot here. Everything was made perfect. We just have to understand it. So embrace our loved ones. Don't let them go. They never did anything to hurt you. They never did anything to make you cry. We cry for ourselves because we feel, I really wish I could hug you right now. Turn that into, oh, thank God I can hug you right now. I just have to close my eyes, think of you, and I can feel you, I can smell you, I can see you. That is very real. I'm going to end this quoting Christ, quoting Jesus. If you think it, you've already done it. I'm digging. This is the vibe. I hope this helped. I hope this made you pause, think. I hope you've had aha moments. If you feel I've missed anything out, if you have any questions at all, please feel free to leave them in the comment section. I would be more than happy to help to answer each and every question that anybody does have. Flat out, I know why I'm here, I remember, and it has everything to do with you. So, you can share it, you can like it if it helped at all, or you could recommend it, a thumbs up, that'd be grand. I'd like to have enough subs that I could have a chat and interact. I'm gonna, I've threatened that a couple of times, but I've had one issue after another come up, all family, and I finally have a free 2 weeks that I could put some time into this site and have it grow. So I'm really glad you joined me. I'm really glad that and feel privileged to be able to have made this video and share knowledge that is factual and not made up. Don't forget, you can subscribe. Okay, I'm digging, and this has been The Vibe. Thank you, and for now, I'm going to say ciao, amore. Ciao, ciao.